I would like to offer a way of thinking through the questions.
What you trying to do?
Which of the world's problems should I be paying attention to, trying to help solve, or taking responsibility for? Where does my moral responsibility lie? And how far into the world does it extend? The framework I'm offering, which has been helpful for me, can be represented by a matrix. I'll call it the concern impact matrix. One axis represents the degree to which issues concern you, ranging from matters that barely register in your awareness or that you could not care less about, to those that deeply trouble you and command your attention. The other axis represents your potential for making an impact, the extent to which your actions, skills, position, or voice can meaningfully affect the problem. So, what problems in the world concern you? Well, of course, the issues that concern you exist at many levels. Some are primarily personal: a difficult family dynamic, a struggling relationship, work problems, a loved one in need. And then we can see how there are issues at increasingly broad levels of your social world, getting as broad as global issues: war, poverty, environmental degradation, access to education, mental health, elder care, disease, famine, violence, crime, wealth disparities, nuclear catastrophe, human trafficking, etc. The boundary between personal problems and world-level problems can be blurry. There's a pretty smooth gradient between the personal and the broadly public. And in fact, the broader worldly issues that tend to concern people most deeply are often the ones that have entered their lives in a personal way. When an abstract issue lands at home and becomes emotionally real.
I'm glad his name is there so that he's never forgotten. And to me, that's what matters the most, is that his story, his service, his sacrifice is never forgotten.
A woman named Donna Chapman is a mother whose son Will struggled after returning home from military service and ultimately took his own life. His struggles led her to become aware of the issue of veterans not being supported well enough. So she founded the nonprofit organization called Willpower, which is dedicated to supporting veterans. Drunk driving is a massive problem, but if it has never touched your life, you might not think about it all that much. You're not very concerned. Candy Lightner, her 13-year-old daughter was killed by a repeat drunk driver, which motivated Candy to start Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which is a movement that has transformed public attitudes about drunk driving and helped drive major policy changes, including raising the legal drinking age. Undoubtedly, she has saved countless lives. So the point is, the problems of the world that end up mattering to us most, and where our concern typically has the strongest staying power, are often the ones that have entered our lives personally. Our concern increases because we've experienced firsthand the seriousness of the problem. And what's interesting is that a high level of concern in itself increases a person's impact potential because it makes them fervent. Impact potential is the second axis of the matrix. On the low end of the spectrum, you might devote your life to a cause and make only an infinitesimal or imperceivable impact. I think many people feel impotent in their capacity to impact the world's biggest, most serious problems. How can I stop the next war between nations is essentially how we feel. There's nuance, to exploring this perceived impotence. It's important to be cautious about concluding that you can't make a difference. Sometimes what feels like impotence or powerlessness is really an underestimation of yourself and of the overall impact that sustained attention, small actions, or collective effort can have. But then again, sometimes we really aren't positioned to make a big impact on certain issues, and in those cases, our energy may be better directed elsewhere, towards something we can impact. On the high end, you might be uniquely positioned to make a decisive difference, maybe even single-handedly solve a problem. If a problem can be solved with money, the wealthiest people in the world can snap their fingers and solve it. If a problem can be solved through engineering, then a great engineer has tremendous impact potential. If a problem can be solved through education, then a teacher will have tremendous impact potential.
I have this duty to respond to students who are inquiring about the universe.
The intersection of the concern and impact axes creates these quadrants. Low impact, low concern, you don't care, and you can't change it. Now, why might you not care about a serious issue in the world? I think there are several reasons that explain why you're not concerned with a particular issue. One, it hasn't affected your personal life. So it's not that you don't care because you're careless, but that the problem is too peripheral. Two, you may not fully understand the problem. Three, your concern has diminished because your impact potential is low. You think, well, I can't solve the problem anyway, so I won't concern myself with it. And this may be totally rational. You are allowed to say, I don't care, as a boundary. Caring beyond your power to change can be exhausting and irrational. We did not evolve to worry about countless large-scale existential problems all at once. That said, we should be careful not to irrationally justify our indifference. We also did not evolve to sit idly by as our fellow humans suffer. All this being so, it still makes sense that there will be some of the world's problems in this quadrant for you. Low concern, low impacts. Okay? Then there's low concern, high impacts. Problems that you are not concerning yourself with, but that you could impact if you tried to. This quadrant is interesting because it begs the question, should I be more concerned about this given the fact that I have the power to impact it? If I understood it more, would I be more concerned? Maybe. Maybe we have some degree of moral responsibility to alleviate the suffering that we can easily alleviate. So the risk in this low concern, high impact quadrant is that there is some unexamined indifference. But here again, our resources are finite, so we can't concern ourselves with everything. Then there's high concern, low impacts. These are problems that frustrate or bother you deeply, but you believe you can't make a real impact. And despite that belief, you can't seem to turn your attention away from it. And maybe it's true that your efforts would be best spent elsewhere, but there is also something noble about working really hard to make but an infinitesimal impact on a huge problem. So be careful not to resign prematurely from investing your resources into larger-than-life problems that concern you greatly. My grandmother, she spent every Friday night for years on a street corner protesting war, with signs that said things like, "Support our troops, bring them home." Did that have any impact? Hard to say, but I know she knew that was time well spent. Generally speaking, we are wise to concern ourselves with issues upon which we have the greatest impact potential. High concern, high impacts. In this quadrant are the problems that genuinely concern you and where your skills, knowledge, societal positionality, life experience, or voice give you real leverage to affect change. This high concern, high impact quadrant is where your moral responsibility crystallizes. This is what you should be doing with your life, with the energy left over after handling your personal business. If you are concerned about a broad issue and you have significant impact potential, then you must do something about it. That is your calling, and it will give you a powerful sense of fulfillment to answer the call. When a concern consistently grabs you and you realize you're capable of making a meaningful difference, that convergence is a very strong signal. That is where you can find your purpose. The people and the problems I mentioned earlier, these are people who focused on that convergence of high concern, high impact.
Want to drink? That's fine. If you have a drinking problem, it's your problem. You get behind the wheel of a car and it becomes my problem.
And they are making the world a significantly better place. There are many issues that concern me personally. As Many Psychology Is audience members well know, an issue that falls into my high concern, high impact quadrant is the dramatic over-reliance on psychiatric drugs for emotional distress and the erroneous framing of human suffering and dysfunction by the paradigm of psychiatry. This is something that I have seen with my own eyes. It concerns me greatly, and I have spent ample time becoming educated about it and refining my ability to educate others about it. So that's one of my high concern, high impact issues. I would love to know yours. And as someone who shares this world with you, I want to thank you for all the ways that you work to solve its problems and address its issues. Let me know in the comments which quadrants the world's problems land in for you.